Hello everybody, welcome back to the United Stand. Today's topic of debate is Scott McTominay, Scott McSauce or Scott McSideways as a lot of people are calling him. Now, I don't need to tell you guys anything about this player, obviously. He's very well known for being a main issue as to why Manchester United aren't succeeding throughout the past 3-4 years that he's been at the club. Obviously, he's meant to be this midfield general, right? He's meant to be the box-to-box presence. One of his positives is that his height is obviously a big factor, and even the game against Brentford where he did get dropped and he's come on because we were getting bullied, right? And we needed that presence. He comes on and he played really poor. I'll be really honest, but I'll keep it PG for now. But I think ultimately, look, as I say, I don't need to tell you guys much about him, in the sense that we do need to not even let him go. Like I shouldn't even need to say that he shouldn't even be getting near the starting 11, let alone the squad. In my opinion, he is probably a championship player, and he is very lucky. And I think what I want to do is get into some positives, or one positive that I actually think is linked with him as to why he is a mainstay in that midfield at the minute. And I think it is due to his physical presence and kind of coming under that, his height. As I mentioned about the Brentford game, I think he was brought on because we were getting bullied, and obviously we needed that kind of aerial, not even threat, but just to, you see from corners and from throw-ins, we were getting targeted. Obviously Martinez being targeted as well. So having McTominay as cover is, I guess, of use to Ten Hag and the previous managers, Oli and Jose, who was brought in under. So I think that is, I guess, the probably only positive that I see when it comes to McTominay. And I think at the end of the day, his negatives heavily outweigh his pros. So I think the fact that there's almost too many to go into in this video, right? I could probably be here all day speaking about his negatives, not just this season, but obviously we're going to try and scratch the surface, right? And I think in the last 2 games alone, I think he's shown that he's just so unaware of what's going on around him, that he's a walking red card waiting to happen. And how he wasn't sent off in that Brighton game with that challenge on Caicedo as well, it's actually beyond me. I don't understand. And even in the 45 minutes that he came on and played, I think he showed, his first touch isn't there, his awareness, as I say, he's even when he is checking his shoulder, I'm not sure what he's seeing, because it's not the other team. He doesn't know what's going on around him. Even the yellow card that he picked up in the 45 minutes that he played against Brentford is arguably a red card offence. You're looking at ankle breakers, and this is what the media and the pundits are calling passion, right? That he does like to stick a foot in and make that tackle, which, in my opinion, it's all well and good, right? And it's all well and good to see these big tackles flying in derby day games and stuff like that. But when you're picking up 2 yellow cards in 2 games, and one of them probably should have been a red card, it's not a good look, right? I mean, he's on the road to getting suspended very quickly. And I think the fact that he is that meant to be, this, as I say, general number 8 almost, box-to-box midfielder, and he doesn't create enough chances either. He doesn't. I think the statistics are he's scored or the goal contributions are around, I think it was 2 last season in 30 games, which is by far not good enough, right? This is meant to be, as I say, the general of midfield, and he couldn't even be the flipping general of anything, Burger King. Like, he couldn't even run that store. So I think, and you compare him against, the likes of the midfield of the older guys, the Roy Keanes and stuff, and this guy doesn't even come close. I think at the end of the day, we've seen enough, and I think a lot of people are going to say they saw enough last season or the season before. And I think one of the reasons he is a mainstay in that midfield at the minute is the fact that obviously he is an academy prospect. He will obviously probably, let's face it, even if we do bring in another midfielder or 2, he will fill the bench, and he probably could be of use on the bench just for spells here and there, let's be honest. But in my opinion, I actually wouldn't have him anywhere near the squad. I think he's too simple in the way he plays, and I think, yes, that can be a positive and good thing, but even when he receives the ball, he doesn't, or even when he does receive it on the half turn, you see in the Brentford game, he gives it away and then tries to make the tackle and gives away sloppy fouls. And I don't understand why he's around. It's very, very baffling to me. And as I say, he tries to play the simple passes, and that's okay to obviously build confidence and, you know, get that confidence back. But when you're literally, and as I said at the start, sideways, when you're out here just playing the ball sideways, 5-yard passes, 10-yard passes, and you've got your midfield duo of Fred doing that as well, you know, it's okay for one of them to do it. But when they're both doing it and then running around like headless chickens trying to win the ball back when th've lost it, doing, you know, silly flicks, and that's another thing that McTominay started doing, is coming on and doing these silly little touches and flicks. And this is a 6'4", 6'5" centre midfielder, and I mean, even if I was doing that at my level of football and giving the ball away, I dread to think what half time and full time team talks are like for him, you know, giving the ball away, especially when you're 4-0 down. I don't get it. And the fact that even if you compare him, or his stats I should say, to Fred of last season, even Fred gave more goal contributions than McTominay, and I think that's saying something. And obviously I don't want to get on into Fred too much in this video. I think there probably is a place in the squad for Fred, and I think partnered with the right player, obviously that's not McTominay, I think Fred can be of use. But I think Fred got 4 goals and 5 assists last season in as many, if not less, appearances. So I think, yeah, he's even that. You what you want is goals coming from midfield, and Bruno was obviously that avenue. But you want goals shared across the whole of the team and the whole of the midfield, right? You go back to the days of Lampard, Gerrard, Scholes, and you just can't even compare. And even, as I say, even in the 45 minutes of football that he played against Brentford, the silly fouls, and I understand I'm repeating myself here, but I need to get my point across when it comes to the amount of stuff that he has done wrong the past 2 games, and it actually boils my blood, I can't lie. But I think, as I say, this is meant to be the engine, and you can obviously, we've been linked with many a player over the weeks, the months, and coming to the close of the transfer window. We've got around 2 weeks left as of filming this, so we're obviously going to be linked with hundreds more players coming up to it. I dread to think what it's going to be like on deadline day for us, but it'll be interesting to obviously hear your guys' opinions. Get your comments down in below about who you think we should sign in midfield, if you had obviously kind of a realistic option, or also if money kind of wasn't an option and you had sort of an unlimited budget, who would be that midfielder obviously you can bring in. For me, obviously you can't really compare. They play two different style of games, but it would be probably Frankie de Jong. And yeah, obviously kind of leading off the back of that, we have last night been linked with Casemiro, and again, get your comments in down below about what you think about this, him being linked and this type of signing. I don't even think it's fair to compare these 2 players. And obviously, you'll be aware of Casemiro. He's a Champions League winner. I think he's about 30 years old and will be 31, turning 31 this season. So I think at the end of the day, I'd welcome him in with open arms. But I just don't see I don't feel like it's the right direction in terms of a rebuild signing. Not to say I don't agree with, you know, as I say, I'd welcome him in. He'd be much better than Fred, much better than McTominay. And again, as I said, I don't think it's fair to compare in terms of statistics, as Casemiro does play as that full-out defensive midfielder, and, you know, kind of covers the back 4, and that's exactly what he'd be doing if he came to Manchester United, is covering for Maguire's mistakes, right? Because we're not going to see Maguire leave anytime soon. So I think you actually can compare stats, and again, off the top of my head, I know that Casemiro did actually contribute to more goals than McTominay last season, and that is coming from an outright 6, and which shouldn't be happening. It genuinely shouldn't. McTominay has been bombing on a little bit more and should be getting involved in, you know, more goals and making those runs into the boxes that midfielders, the late runs, getting onto crosses that are pulled back and stuff, and it just isn't happening. And honestly, at this point, you know, anyone at this point will be better than McTominay. I genuinely think that, and even if we weren't to sign a midfielder, and this is why I disagree with the possible sale of James Garner as well. I think James Garner would do a much better job than Scott McTominay. I think he would contribute to more goals. I think he would be a lot better in receiving the ball on the back foot from the back 4 and progressing play, you know, making runs through the the 3/3 of the pitch. And yeah, and again, back to Casemiro, I do think that it is a desperation signing, but again, I do think that any signing that we're going to be linked with or make during these last 2 weeks is going to be seen as desperation, and rightly so, right? We're in a desperate situation, and I think also the fact that because we haven't been linked with a lot of these players, or 99% of these players during the transfer window, that they are seen as desperate. And as I say, rightly so, we're in a very desperate situation. We're 2 games in, we've lost 2 games, and definitely deserve to lose both those games. With Liverpool coming up next Monday, it's a scary situation, and we're obviously just kind of picking names out of a hat on who we think. You know, Caicedo's been linked as well, and I think that would be a much better signing. But why is it taking so long after, you know, we were linked with him 12-18 months ago, and it really doesn't make sense. But ultimately, yes, I would welcome Casemiro in, but is he actually going to join? He's going to be on what, probably 350 grand a week, and I just don't see it as a viable option, really. And obviously, no doubt, Erik ten Hag has watched the past 2 games, and he is probably, you know, realistically, he's probably scared for that midfield. He probably actually feels sorry for Scott McTominay dealing with, you know, he's getting run off the park by these and bullied by these Brentford and Brighton players. Imagine what Chelsea, Spurs, Arsenal, all these teams are going to do. And this is, you know, this is Manchester United. We've been known for having these midfield players dominate the game, and we haven't had it for so long. And I think it's only right that whoever we bring in, it needs to be, even if it is that quick fix, it needs to be the right quick fix. And yeah, I mean, I know you guys will obviously have strong opinions about Scott McTominay. Whether you're going to agree with me or not, get them down in the comment section below. I appreciate you watching the video, guys. Thank you very much. Leave a like, subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next topical debate very, very soon.